Hey, it's T.A. On this episode of Armchair Observations, I want to talk about laptops. I've worked in IT for 37 years, so basically a contractor. And knowing the space that I work well in is not network support. I'm the guy that walks up to your desk to help you get over a problem. Fix your keyboard, your mouse, your monitor, your network connection, your desktop computer, your laptop computer. That's what I do. You've got a problem with a Word document, you don't know how to translate a word, you don't know how to add a picture to your PowerPoint presentation. You got a problem with your email, Outlook is giving you problems. That's what I did for 37 years. I was AV, audiovisual, and IT. So I did it all. Anything with technology, I worked in. It was probably easy because I was an electrician for about 10 years at US Steel in Chicago, a couple of steel mills in Chicago. And it seemed to work out well for me. It made things easy. I don't know why. But I also took a microcomputer repair course, which is really component level repair. And laptops don't really require that kind of support. Desktops don't require it. It requires you to understand how to fix the issue. If the video's not working, you swap out the video card. If the operating system isn't working, you swap out the motherboard. You can't find your data. Your hard drive is crashed, which is hard to do. Let me tell you, it's hard to do. You're not really going to have a problem with your hard drive because you can always take it out, put it in another computer, and pull the data off. So when someone says, "Oh, my hard drive crashed," no, it didn't crash. The operating system crashed. The operating system is having trouble. So then there's an issue on the motherboard. So you get a new motherboard, usually clears up the problem. Put the RAM in, put the GPU back on the CPU, attach a new hard drive, you'll be fine. Same with laptops. You crack the monitor, swap it out. That's what I would do, all that stuff. It was a lot of fun for me. And so because of that, I stayed in it for 37 years. A lot of good years, a lot of fun. I love computers. I love the energy it can give a situation, how you can translate an idea just by putting a few words together. Yeah, it's interesting. Not necessarily what computers were for, but sure, definitely worthwhile. Well, anyway, worked with a lot of computers, worked with a lot of laptops. I will say that desktop computer, Dell, Lenovo, or originally IBM, those were the standouts of the desktop world. Back in the day, those were perfect. Nowadays, you can build your own computer cheaper than you can buy a desktop. Though they're starting to make those pretty cheap too. And mainly the best part about desktops is the components you put in there will service you well, provided you take care of them. The problem with laptops is huge. And the biggest problem is that they're so cheap. They're so cheaply made, cheap components, flexible cases. Think about that. a flexible case. You'll crack a motherboard in a second. A hairline crack on one little trace, your laptop is done. You didn't lose your data. You didn't lose your operating system. All that's still on the hard drive. But what you lost was capability to get to it. So it's the case of the laptop that really makes them worthwhile. And there's only a few of those that do that. Well, two that I know of. Macs, yeah. Well, they're steel, basically. They're metal. But they're also $2,000 to start. You can get a used one, but the limitation is that the OS will not advance up to the current level, or may not go up to the current level. It may keep you short. So I had a Power PC a long time ago, and I was trying to add the latest version of the operating system, and it wouldn't do it because it was too old. If I had a desktop computer, a Windows PC computer, desktop computer, I could put Windows, I could put the latest on. It would work. It did work back then. Now I think it's a little tougher. So then my suggestion to get around that on desktops and laptops is go to Linux. Go to a Linux like Mint or Fedora, or there are many, many, many. And they will give you a similar Windows experience, Windows type experience, without going away, which is the problem we're seeing now. Windows 10 is about to go away, and it's going to put a lot of computers in the trash. There's a guy on YouTube that talks about this often, that we're about to create so much e-waste all because Windows 10 is going away. So get around it. Go to Linux. It'll be similar. It'll be tougher for some people. But if you were the kind of person that's been in Windows for a long time, you're going to get through Linux pretty easily. If you've been on Macs the whole time, it's not going to work out. Linux is close to an Apple OS, but it's closer to Windows. So if you're a Windows fan, you can go to Linux. You should have no problem. And quite frankly, if you got a question, just ping me. I'll tell you what the answer is. Heck, we'll Google it together. But laptops, like I said, there's only a couple. And Mac is one. But if you're a Windows fan, Window fan. If you're a fan of Windows operating system and want to stay with a decent computer that will support you, always get a business class. So Dell has got a pretty strong business class, Latitude. Don't get an Inspiron. Not worth it. But the other one is Lenovo, which was formerly IBM. So it still carries the ThinkPad name. So T-Series, P-Series, and of course the X1. X1 I can't rave enough about. It was custom made. I made it custom. I picked all the parts I wanted, and it was about $1,500. Okay, so I got a small senior discount, but it wasn't much. It was like 40, 50 bucks. Still, the next one, it was 1,500 something out the door, shipped to me, and with a year's warranty. And again, being in IT for as long as I've been, I'm not worried about having to do any kind of repair to it. It's a solid, not flexible, it's a strong case. So the case is good. It protects the hardware inside. It's going to work for you every time. P-Series, T-Series. Don't go Yoga. I don't think they've got everything you're going to want, especially when the case flips over. There's a breaking point there. Hinges are the biggest problem in the industry right now, like HP, which the guy on YouTube jokingly calls hinge problem. Not, he doesn't call it Hewlett Packard. They are so tight that when you try to open the laptop, those hinges stick so hard, you actually have to almost pry it open. But because of that and the plastic being as flimsy it is, after about a year or so, it's going to crack. And then you're going to be out a laptop. You're going to be sending it into a shop trying to get a repair, hoping to get a repair, because the parts are getting expensive, and it'll be fine on the other side of the tariffs. It's just going to take time. We're going to see it's going to be tougher for us in the next year, maybe 2 years, but eventually companies are going to start building in the States, and we're going to save that way. Finding computers that are built locally, manufactured locally, is going to be a big deal. Framework is one of them. Framework is module laptop components, and still about $1,500, so less than a Mac. I'm trying to say less. I'm working on it. I'm getting better. Framework is module components, so you can actually pick the parts you want, put it together in a case, and you can actually build it yourself. They'll send you all the parts, and then you can learn how to put it together yourself. Pretty cool idea. Still for about 15, maybe a little more. It will get you those components, and then you can put it together yourself. You created it yourself. But you can also repair it yourself. When a USB module goes bad, take it out, put a new one in, good to go. It's not like going to be laying there on your desk. You're going to have to order it. But the components are still pretty cheap. And then again, you're saving on labor. You're saving on shipping because you're not sending it away. It's going to be right there on your desk. Swap the part out, get back to work. And ask for more. With a Lenovo, it's always going to work. 9 times out of 10, you'll find people who have Lenovo's and they're going to tell you the same thing. It's just going to work. And that's what people really want out of their laptops. Macs aren't necessarily like that. For Windows people to go to a Mac, I took a class back in the mid-90s. In the mid-90s, I was learning Macromedia Director, and I was learning Adobe Photoshop. Go to school for this. There are 2 people outside the classroom, me and one other person. Or the story is just, there's me and one other person standing outside the classroom. Class is full. Teacher meets us outside, and he says, I got bad news and I got good news. He said, the bad news is we have to teach you on Macs, on Power PCs. The good news is you shouldn't have any problem. If we were to do it the other way, where you 2 people were working on Windows PCs and everybody else had to, all of these Mac people, because they wouldn't be able to interface with a PC, with a Windows PC. Get it? And the person and I went into class, we got right down to brass tacks. We were making animations. We were editing graphics. It was no big deal. It was easy. Because it's easier for a Windows person to go to a Mac. Because you've gone through tough information to do easy information. So basically, Macs are easy. If you don't have the mental capacity to go through deep logic about making a computer do whatever it needs to do, that's what Apple is for. Perfect for that. That's what Apple phones are for. Perfect for that. If it's hard for you, stick with an Apple. So because they're so easy, they often get attacked more with viruses and malware and scams and all that kind of stuff because they're vulnerable. In fact, most corporations. So boutique places will get their Mac laptops and be happy with the world. Corporations won't go that way because Apple is prone to attacks. So in a corporation, you can't afford to do that. And so let me boil it down to this too. In a corporation, you've got to send documents to your lawyers. Your lawyers send their documents to the courthouses. The courthouses are not on Macs. The courthouses need to be more secure than Apple can give you. They can give you security, but you've got to work for that security. Most people just want to do what they want to do on a computer. They don't want to worry about these other things. Well, this is probably one thing that they don't tell you. So security in courthouses, ultimate. So in order to function with those courthouses, the lawyers need to have Windows documents, Windows computers generating Windows documents, giving it to the lawyers, sending it to the courthouse. You're fine. Apple, not so much, not as secure. Safer that way. Safer to go with Windows than Mac. It's what I've learned over 37 years. So anyway, recap. Windows, upgradable most of the time. Desktops, definitely. Laptops, not always. Used, to a point. T-Series and P-Series Lenovo laptops, definitely. Upgradable, new hard drives, more RAM, new screens. I mean, anything could get a new screen. So Lenovo, T-Series, P-Series, you can put new hard drives in them, put more RAM in them. You can get a motherboard, you can get a new screen, you can do that. Some newer laptops, Mac laptops, the prices are insane to replace a part. And the thing is, you can't really do that much more than the screen. The hard drive and the RAM, I believe, are soldered on. So like the X1 series, Lenovo's, the hard drive and the RAM are soldered on. Those aren't interchangeable parts. But that's what you want from that kind of business laptop. You want quality, and it will give you quality because it's soldered on. T-Series, P-Series Lenovo's, upgradable. Macs, not upgradable. OS, not upgradable on a typical Mac to a certain point. Lenovo laptops, upgradable. RAM, motherboard, or Lenovo laptops, T-Series, P-Series, upgradable hard drive, upgradable RAM. You can replace the screen. You can replace the motherboard. You can replace the battery. All upgradable components. Desktops, definitely. Operating system, if it goes past life, if it won't take Windows 10, Windows 11 even, go to Linux. Go to a Linux distro and put that on there. You'll get a similar Windows experience that you should be able to modify to you, to your needs. You tell it what you want it to be, how you want it to look, and it should work just fine. Mac, not so much. It'll give you some control. I have not heard if Linux will go on a Mac. It should, because Windows and Mac OS are built off of Linux kernels. That's where they came up with the idea. They said, oh, we can change this and then call it our own, we call it Windows. We can go over here, we call it iOS. So it's possible. I am all over the street here. I'm so sorry that I'm rambling. I'm just trying to get you to a comfortable spot with a computer And again, this is just an armchair observation. It's the guy that's been doing this for 37 years. Benefit of what I've learned to make your life better. Hope that helps. This is TA. I'll see you next time.